So, one of my favourite followers asked me, please tell me all about your pedal board. What a wonderful question to ask me. I love that you asked me that question. So, I'm doing this video today for GTR page, guitar page, and anyone else that's interested in the pedal board. Firstly, I don't actually use a pedal board. Not to be a dick, but I will set up rubber car mats, you know what you get for car footwells, on the stage floor and set up my pedals on the night. I have made pedal boards and whatnot, and it's just that in this particular studio situation, it really makes much more sense just for me to be able to completely change layouts really quick. I don't know that I'll ever really use a pedal board because I don't use that much. It might look like a lot, but you've got to remember this is divided into two rigs. So like face this way or face this way. And I'll show you all that as we go on. So one of the crucial things is that I run an amp on a sort of Marshall setting, but set for that sort of you know, grittiness. I'm not like full drive, so it's you still need to be able to ring out a chord, you know, and it'll be clear, all the notes be clear. And then you know, it's all there at the tip of a foot. So I've essentially, and I've essentially got that, you know, that sort of golden crunchy sound that's, you know, predominantly clean, and you can hear all the articulation and all the chords, and then a much more saturated sound. But it must have percussive snap. There can't be any like noise in between the notes. So it's like, and then like I said, it's so that there's a little bit of a when you're sort of like, you ease off the pressure. So it's like that. And then to accentuate, I use fuzz. So yeah, those sort of three layers or three levels of gain, super important, can only really be achieved by pedals or amp switching, and the fuzz characteristic, the signal destruction of the fuzz characteristic on top of something that's already like saturated with gain. I love that, it really appeals to me. So next then, I guess you should have a look around. So this is the main pedal board when we play stereo, and like the stereo is really important, and we get some ping pong effects from that. So let me just give you an example. I don't know if you're catching that from your headphones, but it's like a, okay, so that's an important aspect, having like, you know, I run a stereo rig and it's very unusual. And then on, this is like the warm-up rig, so it's like this, and like, you know, that has its own charms. So what I would like, I will just show you some in operation and talk about some of my choices and why I do what I do exactly the way I do it. But let's partake in the glorious maintenance of studio vibrations. So the main rig is not as complicated as it looks. So what we have, we're going into the fuzz first, and then the sort of governor type distortion. Now, this actually changed the way I do things, because I actually honestly go for not the cheapest, but the most readily available type of pedal that I can get my hands on. So if I can get a Behringer and it'll do the job, I damn well will. I do not care what people think or say, because if a 20 quid Behringer will do the job perfectly, why on earth wouldn't I? You know, if I can just, you know, if my pedal gets nicked or breaks, it's like an easy replace, and my rig and my sound is unaffected. So if I don't have to rely on exotic effects pedals and I can do it on an everyday one, I absolutely will. And so we start off with the fuzz, and I like sort of big muffs and fuzz faces and like, you know, oh my god, tone benders. Like, and you know, that's basically it, covers my whole thing. But I'm happy with any three of them or any clones of them. I'm very open-minded, and I love it. I mean, I go for, even this is a 20 quid fuzz pedal, perfectly able to sort of do the same job as a Woolly Mammoth. If you know, it's not as good, but you know, you can get it for what I am using, which is signal destruction. Then we go into a Marshallizer. This will need to be some kind of crunchy distortion. A DS1 will do it, or a Rat, but like ideally it needs to be a Marshall Governor. Ideally it needs to be one like this, you know. This is like worth more than any of my guitars, I think. And because of that, I tried very hard to get like a working class version. Harley Benton Crunch Distortion. It's a clone of the Crunch Box. Everybody does a clone of the Crunch Box, and it's absolutely perfect. Really does the job well. And now that is going into, this is a great pedal. It's a tube screamer and a boost. So this would normally be a tube screamer of some kind. So if you could just imagine like a TS808 or something similar sat there, and then it's got a boost right next to it, which is a very transparent boost with just that one button. And that's a very, very useful thing to have, especially because I've got so many guitars with different pickup outputs. You know, sometimes I sort of like would have to do a lot of resetting, but really just that really can dictate, you know, depending on the impedance of the guitar, that boost will do the job, that knob. Then we go into a Crazy Cacti, which is a fantastic, you know, pedal, again with a boost, but it's not a separate boost, so it's a boost on top of the gain that's already there. This is a much sort of like warmer sort of overdrive. So if you think, if this was stuff like, if this was all Boss stuff, okay, or whatever, in like really standard stuff, you'd say, you'd have a big muff there, let's say a fuzz face, have a fuzz face there, going into a DS1 there, a Boss DS1, then you'd be going into a preamp booster, and then a tone screamer, and then over here you'd be going for some kind of warm overdrive. And this is Crazy Cacti, is a really overlooked pedal. It's a copy of the, oh my goodness, MOSFET. Oh god, I've forgotten now. Full tone full drive MOSFET. It's a clone of the full tone full drive MOSFET, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a really cool drive pedal. So I'll just give you a quick demo, and it's got the boost. Now this one is a tube screamer and a boost, so it's two pedals, and they act separately. So you can have that spanky, and then boost it without using the tube screamer. This one, it's like the boost does nothing unless you've got the gain on. Okay, so let's get the gain on. Smooth and freely. And I'll put the boost on and it goes into real fuzz type places. I'll just give you a quick go. So, you know, it could be an extra fuzz over in the corner if you need that craziness. but really consistent, really straight the way it breaks up. Totally different to the marshalizer, the crunch distortion. Well, I'll turn this boost up and you'll see what I mean, right? I'm going to turn it up to max and you'll see what I mean. Turn your main gain up there. Anyway, bit of fun. I usually have it there, and then there's sort of like big, that usually you'll be on as well. So big solos, Anyway, having too much fun there. I'm just hauling up the video.